welcome to the Lost Sheep Found podcast. My name is Carrie, and I'm joined here with
Brandy, the co-host.
And I've been working through something lately, and I've been talking with Brandy about this. So we're trying something different. This isn't going to be somebody's personal story, but I guess it is because it's something I'm going through and something that has kind of like stopped us in our tracks. Well, life has stopped us in our tracks as well, but I'm definitely encountering a lot of this. And so I just figured it would be fun, not fun, but maybe just interesting to talk this over and to maybe just work through what's going on in my brain. So what I've been experiencing lately is fear. And I think originally when I would talk about it to certain people, I explained it as doubt. But when I look at the definitions of what is fear, fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. Where doubt is a feeling of uncertainty or a lack of conviction and hesitant to believe. So once I started really looking at those two things, I think what I'm experiencing is fear. And what am I afraid of? Am I afraid of God? I'm not afraid of God. He is amazing. I am afraid of doing this podcast, I think, is what it comes down to, or the fear I am not going to do him justice. I don't know. I still don't even know how to put it into words.
Yeah, so, I mean, we kind of did a little notes about doubt and fear, and I think they go hand in hand to some extent. But I guess to get to the root of what you're fearful of, I think is the important part to identify to move on, right?
Yeah.
So, what exactly gives you fear about this podcast?
Fearing that I'm not doing a good job of it. Fearing that people are going to judge me, which I don't usually give a shit what people think about me, honestly. Right. But
it's a different platform than your day-to-day, right?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's always subject to criticism, but you're putting yourself out to a bigger audience.
And right? Sharing my journey, knowing I'm not a perfect Christian.
No one is.
But I want to share what he's done. I've gotten, and that's the thing is like, we've gotten tremendous feedback from what we've done so far and such positive feedback. I haven't gotten any negative feedback.
So it's just in your own head.
It's in my own freaking head.
Right. Right.
And my meds are not helping it. But so I'm like, okay, so what does the Bible say about fear? And the phrase, do not be afraid, is mentioned in some variation or another in the Bible over 350 times. So obviously I'm not the
only one that's ever had this fear.
Obviously, there's bigger things to fear than a podcast. But God had put this on my heart for over a year. And yes, I took a while to catch on to his calling. I did. But I started doing it. And then you stepped in and we were doing it. We got things going. We got people to talk. And I don't know if it's because we had one guest and maybe that kind of stopped me like, am I doing the right thing?
Well, I think, just kind of doing a little bit of research about fear, is a normal reaction for your own safety, but it also means that you're stretching yourself to grow. Mm-hmm. And you know that you're in an uncomfortable place because you're not doing the same thing, right? And also, like, it's your inner self-talk that you're fighting against. Like
Constant.
Like every thought that you have doesn't mean it's the right thought.
No.
And you have to change that narrative in your head and having faith and believing in yourself and turning it into a positive. Because if you were to say, what if this happens? What if this happens? This could happen. I could be disappointed. No one wants to feel disappointed. Mm-hmm. So you're protecting yourself against disappointment. But we also have to remember that this is a journey we're on. And even if you become disappointed, but we're spending time, we are together in the Word, trying to connect with people and share our struggles to give them hope that they're not the only one and they can get through. So like, even if this disappointment happens because it doesn't become as what you thought it could be.
Well, and that's the thing is, one thing I know we talked about from the very beginning is like, where do you see this going? And I've always said, like, I don't care if it's only 30 people that listen to it or 5 people that listen to it. But then like deep down in my heart, I'm like, that would be so cool if, you know,
it became something
bigger. And so is that what I'm fearing? Like, oh goodness, like what if it does become something bigger? Or what if somebody does call me out on something and I can't quote a verse in response, you know? And it's like, I don't know. And honestly, like, I have been in the Bible so much, like researching this, which it's kind of helping me because we are to this point where we're recording finally.
Right.
But I have been immobilized with this fear. And I'm sure you could tell where it's kind of like radio silence. Mm-hmm. And one of the verses I found that talks about fear will immobilize your spiritual life, Proverbs 29:25, the fear of man brings a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord shall be safe. And it's like, why can't I get that in my head? Anxiety. I like stress about the podcast. Like, I haven't put out an episode. Like the last episode, there was nothing after that. There was like no like, we'll be back in a couple of weeks. It was just like stuff stopped, you know? And it's like, I'm anxious thinking about that. I just cannot get out of my head. And I know it's Satan putting that like, this is stupid. Like, what the fuck are you trying to do?
Well, I also think like the fear that you're talking about, like you're authentic, like you're not trying to be holier or the holiest or the most Christian. Like you're talking real and you're comfortable in your own skin, and where this could lead to something else. Mm-hmm. It could just be a baby step. It could be bigger. It could be, you know, you can look at it all the ways of what it could or couldn't be, but until you keep pressing through, you don't know. But I know,
and I felt like, again, we have our own lives. We have life going on all around us. You're going through things. I'm going through things. And it's like, well, I felt this was helping you so good. And now it's like, well, shit, I'm going to disappoint her because, you know, I can't get my shit together.
I don't want you to feel that way.
I know, but again, I do.
I know.
That's my problem.
I think it goes back to belief and faith and being committed to setting smaller goals so that you can tell that you're achieving small things, because to achieve the big thing at the end of how this is going to be, there's so many steps before that.
It's like, what about Bob? Like baby steps.
I don't know what about Bob.
You don't know what about Bob?
I don't know.
Richard Dreyfuss and Bill Murray. Brandy.
I mean, it sounds familiar, but I can't place it. I'll check it out.
Anyways, baby steps.
Yeah, I think, you know, with us, you know, when we met last time, we had some small goals.
And I didn't even do one. I totally
forgot.
No, I didn't post the one episode
of Siobhan.
Yeah. I never
got it. I didn't even realize you didn't do it. I know I would get an alert. I know that I get an alert when you post something, but you're right. I didn't.
And that should be the easiest one to post because
Right?
we did a pretty good job the first time
Well,
around.
she was well spoken and
She
had
was
done this
really great.
before. Yeah.
This is what I'm working through right now. And I feel like it's getting better. I feel like I'm working through it, but that fire definitely went out.
It takes time to process. It's just sitting in something for too long can be destructive as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think we all can agree that we have to process or feel sad or feel fear, but there's a certain amount of time where you have to bounce back. Because if you can't bounce back, then it won.
Yeah.
The fear won.
Right.
Right? And I know that we were on a trajectory of having, scheduling and talking, and that kept you going. And then once we didn't reach out for more interviews, we kind of got stuck. But I feel like it's just at a point where we have to take more action.
Yeah.
And, life has been kind of crazy.
But I think that's where I also fell into an issue where somebody reached out to us and I jumped on it. And I felt like I don't have the right to be selective because I'm like, I'm trying to build this podcast and here's somebody that wants to share their story. I felt that I just needed to accept everyone that was willing to share a story.
Right. We also learned from that. If someone hasn't written a book or doesn't, isn't well spoken, that we need to take the lead a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so we had made, more questions to just start fresh to keep on our track versus it getting away from us.
Yeah.
So we did learn from that. So I think it was needed to happen.
Thank you, God.
Yeah. And I think that's where we're constantly going to be tested one way or another to keep pushing forward. But yeah, please don't be I will never be disappointed. I never thought I would be a co-host. I'm like, I'll help you. Like, I'll do research. And then you're like, and I'm buying you a microphone. And I'm like, wait, what? Wait. Oh, okay. All right. Let's do this. So I want you to have that spark back that this is God's calling you to do this. And I would never be disappointed. I just want to support you. And as much as I feel I benefit from being a part of this in so many ways, in supporting you and, picking up the Bible more than I would, or just researching fear and doubt, just keeping my brain active as far as the normal monotony of my days and my weeks of what I think about, you know. I think it's, I've read a book. I've listened to podcasts on things. I feel like it's helping me grow, but as a side note, it, don't feel like ever disappointing to me. Like I like to learn new things, and I don't want you to feel pressure from me in any way. This is yours.
Yeah.
This is yours, and it can be what you want it to be. And I feel like this all had to happen for a reason. We just don't know why until later down the road, as such as everything, but I don't feel like you want this to stop.
I don't. And I don't want to not be moving forward.
So it's just a stepping stone.
I feel like this has been the longest pit stop. Like the car was on fire. They had to get a new car. The fear's not coming from God. It's coming from Satan. So how do I keep that in my brain?
You have to rewrite the narrative.
Right.
And the opposite of doubt and fear would be belief and faith. And you are a brave woman that on your timing, you're not going to let it win.
I did find in 2 Timothy 1:7, it says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind." Maybe I should get that tattooed.
Then it will stick. Just need to ink it on. Get in there. Get deep in there.
Just the other day, like one of the patients that came into work, they saw my tattoo, or it was a caregiver, I think. She's like, I love that anchor. I'm like, it's my life symbol, like to remain steadfast in the Lord, And it's like, I'm not calling on him during this time. I think that's my problem. I haven't been calling on him. I think this last week I probably have been doing more so because I've actually been like in the Word. But how do I get it through my brain to go to him immediately? You're supposed to give me answers.
I don't have the answers, but a lot of times when your mind's overthinking or self-doubt, I mean, it means you're stretching yourself. And, I find once you can get through that overthinking or the what ifs or even if or however your mind's just spiraling the scenarios, it's in the quiet moments that you find the answer.
Yeah.
So your mind might have to run a little longer before you can just find that silent space, whether it's meditation, whether it's breathing exercises, to find that, because that's when I feel like the answers come.
Right. It's so funny that you say the quiet moments, because I was just talking to you about that first responders Bible study we went to, and they were talking about prayer. And it's like, do it in a quiet space. And I don't. I find myself praying in like the most chaotic of spaces.
I mean, I find in the shower, like when you really are just...
That's when I'm listening to my true
nothing.
crime podcast.
No, okay, I don't shower with anything, but it's like the thing I've been like struggling with, and then I get that, you're just woke up, you just, you haven't started the day, your head's kind of not going like it is at the end of the day, and then it'd be like, oh, like, because I was allowing that silent moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it could just be like where my car keys was.
Yeah.
Couldn't be any. It's like, oh yeah, that's where I put them. But, I know with work and stuff, I'll be like, have this big puzzle that I need to like put together. And there's just something I'm struggling with. And then it'll be like, comes to me. And I think that a lot of times it's just because your mind's finally quiet, whether you want to meditate, whether you want to pray, but you have to stop that wheelhouse of your mind spinning in every direction.
Yeah. I think I need to build a quiet room. It's like a panic room.
We could pad the walls in here.
The problem is the dog. There's never quiet.
He seems quiet.
Well, he's quiet right now because we're not near the front window, but like in the morning, I'll try to like have some quiet time in the living room, and friggin' patrol dog starts barking at 6:30 in the morning because somebody has the audacity to walk by our house. And then I get pissed and yell at him, and then my quietness is gone.
The patience for creating quietness is over. I mean, I feel like we have to grow through this challenge to come out on the other side. I don't feel that this is going to stop you, but I kind of have a new philosophy for things that I'm going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you
Fuck
give
it.
it 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, sorry.
No. Yeah, that sometime. You, if you're sad, if you're fearful, if you're worried, if all those emotions that we need to process things, you give yourself 5 to 10 minutes to cry, to sit in that sucky moment you're in, and then you have to bounce back. I have a gratitude journal now where I have to write 5 things once a week that I'm grateful for. And sometimes it's the sun shining on my face.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's bigger, but it's helped me try to reframe my mind that I am grateful for so much, and it makes me feel more love and kindness for things that I need to. And that's helped me a little bit. And when I wake up in the morning, when you grab your phone and start scrolling, no.
Seriously,
I
that's
have.
one thing I need to fucking stop doing.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't give it 10 minutes and then I grab because, work or whatever.
Yeah.
But the first thing I've started saying to myself when I wake up in the morning is I'm grateful to be alive. I mean, things can get bad and you got to just be grateful for your life. Like, you are here for a reason. You are here for a purpose, whether it's to grow, evolve, purpose. We need purpose. We need that. And life can get yucky, and the ugly moments stand out sometimes way more than the nice moments. So that gratitude journal has really tried to give me a new perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, 5 was hard. How am I not have 5 things to be grateful for every day? I'm only trying once a week.
Yeah.
And then it kind of clicked in me, and I was like,
even the smallest things.
even the smallest. I'm grateful that my dog is on the foot of my bed right now. And I'm grateful for, it always goes back to the kids, to, our freedom,
Yeah.
to the sun shining, to having, roof over my head, be able to feed my children.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, those basics, as much as it seems like a basic thing, but
we take it for granted.
we take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true. Maybe I should write like the things I fear.
Well, I've also...
And then like let it go or burn it.
You can do that. I also was listening to someone about making a failure journal.
Oh.
And because we learn from every failure, and you have to fail to grow into the person that you are. So you can have a failure journal, but it's like you write down your feelings, but yet you can analyze it from a different perspective of other than your feelings.
Yeah.
Because if you get stuck in those feelings like fear and doubt, and I mean, it's not a happy place. But if you can remove your feelings from it at a certain point and analyze it, then it's
and confront it,
yeah.
I think.
Well, you have to acknowledge,
yeah.
right? And putting things on paper a lot of the time takes you out of the feeling a little bit, and you can analyze and acknowledge what's going on and how it's either helping you or not helping you, and take action to change that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, some of the verses that I found like to affirm was Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Psalms 34:4. I sought the Lord and he heard me, and he delivered me from all my fears. Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid of them, for the Lord your God, he is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. I think that's been my biggest thing is I haven't been bringing it to him. It's like I've been trying to deal with, like, I could do this on my own. I can do this on my own. I can overcome it. Well, it's been like friggin' 2 months, I feel like, where it's like, okay, it's not getting there now. And then talking with you now, really researching this and really getting into the word, it's like I am finding comfort and confronting it. And I know talking with you, you talking about the podcast and stuff, and it's like things that I've heard from, therapists, like, okay, so you have the what ifs. Okay, so what if that does happen?
Right, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah. Why can't I take the advice? But I'm going to do it.
Because you're stubborn. Which is a good quality, because you're going to get through this.
I am my father's daughter. Listen to episode 1 and 2. Just 3 things that I found online was, when fear does creep in or doubt creeps in, I mean, just something to go back to. Be honest and face them. Like, confronting it and stopping it in its tracks. Don't let it feed. Like, I'm not giving it food and water. I'm going to pull it out like a weed. Go to the Word. And I can definitely say that this last week, researching all this, before I had just written down Bible verses, I didn't write them out. And, typing it and writing it out, I was like, okay, that really had me reflect. And I mean, there was a couple of times I just sat there and prayed and gave it to him, because the fears were coming into my brain as I'm like working on this, and then committing it to the Lord and trusting that he's keeping me safe. I am on a path that he's laid out for me. I have to trust him. And I just tell Satan, F you, like, get out of my brain, stop my brain.
I mean, I think it's just constant, like, warfare in our brains. They always have the picture of when we were kids with cartoons, the devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other. And as I've aged, like, it's constant. It's, you have to really be intentional with your thoughts and how you want to view things, and be the person that you want to be, the best version of yourself. And it's a struggle,
right?
It's like the good and the bad.
Yeah. But the best version in his eyes, not cursing. No.
That's just words.
Right? Gets the point across. So, friends, this is what I've been dealing with. And I just wanted to be honest with you guys. It's something I'm working through. We're still here.
We're coming back.
We're coming back. And if you guys know of somebody that wants to share a story, we're going to pre-interview. We're going to do a better job.
Or not.
Or not.
Or
Whatever.
not. It's all just experiences.
It's a learning lesson.
It is. And I think we just have to go back to
Basics.
the initial reason you felt this is a calling, and didn't mean there wasn't going to be challenges along the way.
Right. How boring would that be if it was just so easy and it all just came to us like easy peasy?
Yeah.
That would be so boring.
Right?
I could use boring, though.
Not in this world. So we're coming back. We're coming back stronger than we were. Just a little detour.
Yes. And, we may have more episodes like this. Just free talking and talking out our mental challenges.
I don't think we're the only ones.
Right?
Pretty sure.
So again, if you want to talk to us,
reach out.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.
To the left of me, sorrow to the right. Can you hear me, Lord, and can you lead me to the light? I lift my voice, I call your name, as I toil down in this valley of strife and pain. I've been over backwards, paid it all forwards, don't have a dime to my name, and my debt to you could never be repaid. When the heat wave starts to break, and the ice and snow melts away, when the tears we've cried have all run dry, we find the rainbows in